So we're here with Dick Wagner. How you doing?
Hi, Mitch. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm doing very well.
Good. Isn't
Uh,
Skype a wonderful thing?
Skype is absolutely fabulous because we get to see you back there. The goes to Alice Cooper, go to hell. I guess that's a platinum record and stuff.
There's
So
a bunch of gold and platinum back then. Yeah,
yeah, it's not like my house where I've got
but they're
curtains.
only they're worth $200 a piece. They're nothing.
I
Yeah,
know,
the
but
music is the music, but
yeah, that's the real thing. So, you know, fans that are going to watch this, they know you from Alice Cooper. They know you from doing the Kiss stuff. They know you from, playing on that Aerosmith record and all these other records. But you're here for another purpose today. You did
I,
a you did a little something for St. Jude's Hospital. Uh,
yes, I did. I was asked to write a song
okay,
to benefit the kids, at St. Jude's, and so I wrote the song, and I was going out to L.A. to be in this autograph show. Where you sign autographs for the fans,
yeah,
and there were like 70 artists there, and I got about 50 of them to come in and record my song, and as a donation to St. Jude's, their time and their talents.
now let's quickly get the name of the song out there because I have an MP3 of it, but it's just called St. Jude's Mix, and I'm assuming that's not the title. So
No, the title of the song is "If I Had the Time,
okay.
I Could Change the World."
Okay, and that's on iTunes and all that stuff, right?
Right, I know for sure it's up on CD Baby today.
Okay.
The video is being completed today. Should be up on YouTube tomorrow sometime.
Oh, great.
So we did a whole video shoot of the whole thing. It's like We Are the World kind of thing.
Oh, great.
And I've got Mark Farner and Trini Lopez and all these great players from L.A. and Lee Sklar and Danny Serafin from Chicago and
Oh, wow.
uh, Jennifer Batten from Michael Jackson on guitar and Elliot Easton from the Cars, and
Oh,
it's a fantastic band, and the song sounds absolutely great. So I had the pleasure of writing it and producing the whole session, and
now, was it something you wrote just recently, just for this project, or was this sort of a song that fit into the
no, I wrote this for the project.
Okay.
Asked to. I was going out for the autograph show, and I was asked to write a song,
Okay.
which would be like an embellishment to the autograph show was to raise money for St. Jude also.
Okay.
But so I got all these people in. We recorded it. It's fantastic, and every time you download it, the money goes to St. Jude.
St.
So
Jude.
I encourage people to go to CD Baby today.
And get it. Now, with the internet and the fact that we can get all over the world now, for those who don't know what St. Jude's is, somebody may be sitting in Sweden or Finland or something. Just explain a little bit what the money is being raised for. What does St. Jude's do?
St. Jude's is a hospital that was started by Danny Thomas, who was a famous American actor
Right.
many years ago. It's for children's cancer research, is what it initially started at.
Right.
To cure leukemia is what it really was first for. It deals with other diseases now, and what it is a hospital where a very sick child can be brought in, and to no expense to their parents, all expenses paid. They never have to worry about a dime. The hospital pays it all.
That's great.
And, yeah, it's great, and including lodging while they're there with their child in the hospital, all of it. And of course, they have to be funded to be able to do this. So they raise money, and I don't know exactly how they do it, but I know that with this song, we're raising money for them. Um, and it's going to be fantastic, because the downloads come in, the money goes to St. Jude, and they're happy. They love the song,
Great.
and they're behind it. So
Now, is the song part of a larger project? Is there a St. Jude's charity album that's with other artists, or are you going to do more, or is it just really the one song?
not yet. I think
Okay.
we'll do an entire album, but I've got to dream the whole thing up first.
Ha.
Because I was asked to write, and I did. I wrote the song, about 15 minutes, and it's a great little song. And so I want people to really get into this and go and download it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and I wanted to release it here in November, which is approaching now the holiday season. So you've got that whole feeling of giving in the holidays, and
Right.
we have a goal now of 10,000 downloads by January 1st. That's our goal.
Oh, great. Well,
And we're,
hopefully we'll get there.
I think I'm going to get there. It's just a matter of getting the word out, you know. And I appreciate you letting me talk about it because that helps get the word out. And
Yeah, and I'll get it out to the media outlets that I normally deal with, and also we'll put it up on the Kiss podcast page that I do, and I know those fans in particular support you quite a bit, and I'm sure they'll be chomping at the bit to go get this. Now, how about you in terms of, because now we're talking about hospitals, you had some health scares recently. How are you feeling? Are you back to 100%? Are you? Because I know when you
it,
came out of it, you said you had some trouble picking up the guitar, and the tips of your fingers maybe were a little numb. Are you back to?
what happened was, you know, in 2007, I had a heart attack and a
Right,
stroke on the same day.
right,
I was in a coma for 2 weeks. When I woke from the coma, my left arm was totally paralyzed.
right.
Now I'm a guitarist, and that's what I'm noted for. And so I thought my career was over.
Yeah, and that's got to
But
be scary.
it took me 5 years, you know, of therapy and actually focus and determination to start playing again. And the secret in the end was because they discovered I had hydrocephalus. And so they had to do a brain surgery. They put a shunt in my head to drain off the excess spinal fluid. And when they started doing that, my senses came back and I could start to feel like I could play again.
Okay,
And so I just really put my work into it over these last few years. And am I back 100%? I think so.
okay.
Yes, I was playing for like 4 hours yesterday, playing the guitar. And I just felt like, man, I am back. You know,
Is there a renewed sense of determination? Because when you get to a point where you think it's over and you can't do it anymore, and then it comes back, do you start getting more creative, or do you want to go out and play with with more bands? Like, does it come back like where you really want to just
oh
make
yeah,
sure? Yeah,
I'm out touring and stuff. And right now, I'm basically doing my book tours where I
yeah.
perform my songs and I play guitar and stuff while I present my book. So it's a combined event. It isn't just like a normal author who sits there and reads a chapter to the audience and then they maybe buy the book. I tell the stories from the book. I tell the stories of how these songs were written. You know, I play, I sing them. So it's like a little musical event along with the book.
Now I know you have the book right next to you. Why don't we hold it up and show people? It's called Only Women Bleed.
It's called Not Only
Not
Women
Only
Bleed.
Women, sorry.
Only Women Bleed is the song. This is the book.
And I'm the. There you go. Yeah, it's a great book, by the way. I got a copy of it. You sent one to me, and it was fantastic. Now, being
Oh,
an
good.
Alice Cooper fan for so many years, it's normal mistake to just use the song title. But to go a little bit into the story of the book, for fans who haven't read it, autobiography, is it just
It's
rock and
an
roll road stories? What is it exactly?
it's an autobiography
Okay.
really, but I used to write short stories a lot. While I was sick, I just started writing some stories again, and then I realized one day that I was writing a book
Yeah.
because I didn't sit down to write a book. I just sat down to start writing while I was ill, and I was also writing songs at the same time. So um, I looked at these stories and I thought, geez, I'm writing a book. So that's when I decided it's going to be a book, and I wrote it. Took me 3 years to write the book, and another year of editing and finalizing it and putting together this package so that it was a really legitimate book. It's got two CDs in the back of
Yeah.
my music, and then it's got like 32 pages of pictures from the 70s mainly, the height of my rock and roll career. And I think it's a great book. It's
Yeah.
humorous. The reviews have been astronomically great. You know, and we're in our third printing already. We're almost to our fourth printing,
Wow.
so it's doing well. I go out around the country and actually do these performances and talk about the book and sell the book that way. Plus, we're with Barnes and Noble and in the states, and we're with Ingram, which is the world's biggest book distributor. They're worldwide. So we're getting sales in Europe and stuff, in South America, and So it's doing really well, and it's a great read. I think that it's in a vignette style, which means you can open this book anywhere and start reading, and you
Right.
get story after story, and then if you want to go back and read it from the beginning, which is what I recommend, you get the whole scope of the book in the end, which I think is really just kind of a commentary. This book is a commentary on the human condition. It's I've been through a lot of things in my life,
Yeah.
and they are road stories, and they are stories of the studio, and they're stories of the music business, and they're also stories of my just normal life. And I think it's very interesting. Of course, I'm very interested in me, but
Well, you should be.
you know what I mean. But so far, I mean, I've never heard a bad word against it yet.
No, and I gotta say, I think you sent it to me. What was it? Maybe 2 years ago or a year ago?
Just before it came out, I think.
Yeah, and I did appreciate the fact that it was sort of these little glimpses of the rock and roll history, especially the stuff that I like. You know, talking about Cooper and all that. Just it just gets into these little. Um, there's like little self-contained, like you said, vignettes, and I really appreciate that style. You know,
Thanks. They,
I'm not a kind of person that sits down and reads a 400-page book and wants the whole story to follow along because at some point I drop off. And like you said, this one you could read it for a couple of days, and then if you get busy with your life, you can come back to it and you can still pick up and feel a flow to it. And they're
it's
very
kind of
honest stories.
I tried to be as honest as I could in this without like impinging on somebody's rights. I couldn't tell all of the stories of my life
No.
because there's some stuff in there I really wouldn't want to reveal, but it reveals pretty much all of it, and how you deal in the music business and who these other people are and how you related to them. It's very interesting as far as that goes.
Yeah, now with it being so successful, is there a part two coming out? Would you think consider doing a second chapter?
I am actually about 3 or 4 chapters into a new book.
Okay.
I
More
mean,
vignette styles or a different book altogether?
right now it's more or less in the vignette style, but they're like a little bit longer chapters. They'll be a little more traditional, but it's about the music business too, and it's a little bit of an autobiography in a sense because it is stories from my life, but um, it's different than this book. So, like I said, I'm already writing it. I don't know how long it's going to take me. It doesn't matter. I will write it until it's finished.
Right.
That's all.
I'd like to get your opinion on the music business because you came from a time where there was a lot of excess and the record companies really sort of controlled everything. I mean, if the president of Universal Music didn't like your face, you were not getting signed. Now we have the internet, we have iTunes, we have all kinds of different. Is it better or worse now? Or is it just different? I mean,
Well, I think it's worse. First of all, because I'm older now,
right,
and it's more difficult. Because everything is young kids,
right,
and there's a lot of self-made music in kids' basements and their little home studios. Um, the politics of it, though, are it's changed in a way because at least it was you could get signed back then. You could make a record, you could put it out. They'd promote you on your, they'd support your tours, everything. They don't do that anymore. Now
no,
it's they sign you and they want to own everything.
right,
They call them 360 deals where they own your publishing, they own everything. I know of a couple out of L.A. She was a she's an artist. He was a dancer. They made a record. They got signed, but they had to give up everything, including the money they made from dancing and her paintings and stuff. I mean, that's what they had. They had to sign their life away just in order to get a record out on the market. You
wow,
know, and it hasn't been that successful, but that's the typical thing that record companies are doing today. They're taking everything, and for what? Just for the distribution. I mean, you have to have distribution, but you have to be smart. And we try to handle as much of our own stuff as we can because we've had the experience. Number one,
right.
we know, and we use social media all the time. And we get to our fans, we talk to our fans, and You have to do that. You got to make a direct contact when you're going to sell anything or if they're going to come see your concerts.
Well, I mean
It's
that's got to be exciting with today's sort of business model for music is that you can go to Facebook and you can go to Twitter. Back in the day, if you were playing somewhere in Phoenix, other than the guys who lived in Phoenix, there was no way of knowing. Now the whole world can know. They can fly in. They can. There's a whole kind of different contact. That's got to be rewarding.
that is in that way. Yes, it is. Plus, I personally love to talk to my fans. Even
Right.
though it's by computer, I love to have that contact.
Right.
That feedback, and it's terrific for me personally. Because
Yeah.
I've made such a comeback from all that illness that people they think it's remarkable and they're totally behind me, and so I love that feeling. That kind of rapport with my fans, and
Do you think that kind of contact changes the music? For example, you go back to Alice Cooper when he did Dada, and maybe had social media been in existence and they had gone on and said, "Oh, Alice, this album's not what we think it should be." Do you think that would have changed the direction artistically of a band? And do you think it changes it now?
no, I don't. I
Okay.
don't think it does. I think all it does really is keeps you feeling vital about it because
Okay.
you have fans who are talking about it and who are telling you what they love, and it doesn't really change the music. The music comes from another place.
From another place. And I'll ask you one more question about music before we get over into Kiss and Alice Cooper. As they say back in the day, you had generally three albums to develop as an artist. The first one was your first try. The second one, they sort of worked out the bumps, and the third one had to be the smash hit. Now you don't get that. You get one song. Um,
Yeah, you get one chance.
are we losing in that? Are we gain? I mean, you look at Kiss or Bon Jovi or even Alice Cooper. I mean, his first two albums, Pretty for Pennies and whatever else it was called,
Pretty things.
Pretty Things. You know, they weren't that great, those albums, and yet you look at Bon Jovi now and at Kiss and Alice. If it wasn't for those third and fourth albums,
Right. Well, an artist has to have time to develop. I
right?
mean, if you're very young and you make a record, that's imprinted in time. That record will always be that record. So you have to grow as an artist, and so things are going to change, and you have to have the outlet because if you don't have the outlet, you only what are you doing? I mean, you're sitting at home, you're practicing with your band or whatever, but nobody's hearing it.
Right.
So you have to be able to have the record come out and be distributed. Kids got to be able to buy it. Now they can do it, online. Um, so I think in some ways it's better today. For communication with fans, it's better because it's direct and it's every day instead of just at the gigs where you
Right.
talk. But in those days, though, you had the record companies behind you. I mean, now they'll cut you off if you don't sell 100,000 records immediately. You're done
Yeah.
with labels, not with the major labels. So I don't really appreciate their attitudes at major labels. They're all in a panic. They don't know what to do. They're doing it all wrong. But I don't want to advise them. I just make music. I make music every day. I write. I'm sitting here writing. I'm sitting here playing, and like yesterday, like I said, I played for 4 hours,
Wow.
and I felt like by myself sitting here playing, and I just felt like I am back. Plus, I'm learning new things, from my guitar playing, and so it comes from here, and I have to have the time for that. But when I decide to make a product, um, I want it to be able to be out to my fans, so I make them all aware, and it's good. I don't rely on a major label. I just can't do that because they want to own everything, like I said. So.
Yeah, and the other thing I was going to, since we're on this, is it still important for you to make an album? I mean, do you still need to come up with 10 to 12 songs, or because
No,
no, we're more of a singles driven kind of.
here's what I do. I write a song. I can write a song every day, but some songs take 2 or 3 days. But I write a song. I record it here in my little home studio, but I consider it to be a song demo. It's certainly not a record. It's a song demo. When I'm ready to make it sound really right and really beautiful, I'll go in the studio with some of my friends who are top-notch players, and we'll make a real demo of it. And if I think it's going to be a serious push out to put a record out, we'll try to make it so that it's absolutely flawless and right. Um, Before that, it doesn't matter if it's exactly right or not. The song has to be right. It has to be complete. The actual recording of it can be just right here, on my computer, and that's fine for me because it represents the song. That keeps the actual writing of the song keeps me going because I love a completed song. When it's done, I go, "Wow, man, that's good."
Great.
I still got it.
Yeah.
And and so that's my life in a nutshell. Like I write music. I try to go out and play once in a while. I don't go on long tours anymore. I'm 71 years old. Not that I can't do it. I do it occasionally for like 6, 7 weeks. But that's not my goal in life. Is to be a star. When I was young, I wanted to be a rock star.
Right.
Then I became a rock star. Now I don't care about that. I'm a musician, and I just want to make my music and write my songs and write my books now.
Right. And now, speaking of writing songs, you wrote a song on Alice Cooper's "Welcome to My Nightmare" too. But that song, there was a history with it. I mean, it was
I actually wrote this. I wrote the song, and I wrote it in around 1972.
right. It was an older song that finally came back, and
I came back. Alice always loved it. And he always wanted to sing it, but I think he forgot about it. I ended up. They were making the record. I was too sick at the time to actually play on the record and
right,
go
which is
down
too
to
bad.
make the record with them. But I had this song and I remembered it, and I sent it down to them because I thought, well, Alice has always loved to sing this, and he loved the song, so maybe he'll want to do it. And they did. They wanted to do it. So Alice changed a couple of lyrics, and just a couple. And it's basically the song that I wrote in '72. It's a beautiful song, and for the record company did not release it as a single, which I think was stupid. But
I agree.
the record was not as big as it should have been. It's a very good record.
It's a great
Yeah,
record. I love it.
I love it too. But they didn't put the push behind it the way they should have. And fortunately for Alice, I mean, he's got a tremendous career because he tours like 9 months out of the year.
Oh, he's on tour right now.
He's still got the energy. He's still got the whole thing, the whole show. I admire him tremendously. We were great friends, and we wrote a lot of great music together.
Yeah,
And maybe I'll do something with him in the future now that I'm well again.
I would love to see. He does that Christmas pudding show and stuff. I would love to see you and Prakash John and the other guys from the Welcome to My Nightmare band get up on stage, and even if it's just one night, just give it one last go because it was such a great band.
I want to do that. I haven't had a chance to talk to Alice about it, but I did talk to his wife about it, and in fact, she suggested it. She wanted us all to get together and do the Nightmare thing one more time.
Yeah.
So maybe we will. Maybe it'll be next year. This year it's too late. It's almost Christmas pudding time now. But I think he's got Kiss on this. He's got Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons coming on the show. Maybe the whole band. I'm not sure, but they're going to be at Alice's Christmas pudding this year.
Yeah. And I mean, it's such a.
Maybe this year we'll do Nightmare, the original band. That would be fantastic. It would be really a lot of fun.
We got Kiss and Alice talking here at the same time, so let's just go with Alice and Nightmare. What did that album mean to you in terms of a musician, in terms of your career, and just personally in terms of as a fan of music? How does that album? What's its meaning for you?
It's a tremendous meaning for me. It was my first chance to have a really international hit.
Right.
And to be there at the very beginning because Alice and I wrote the song Nightmare.
Right.
And there's a whole story about it in the book. I can tell you the story now if you want to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were in the Bahamas, okay? And we were outside sitting on the lawn chairs with Alice with his paper and pencil, me with my guitar. And this storm came up. It was a tropical storm. In about 15 minutes, the winds are getting up around 40, 50 miles an hour. we're still sitting out there with this wind blowing like crazy, and the skies are dark, and there's lightning, and it's going to be a big storm. And just out of that mood, I played that opening riff, and then that chord, that signifies "Welcome to My Nightmare." And from over, Alice was sitting across from me, and as I played that, he said, "Welcome to my nightmare." Well, he did that. I mean, the song just wrote itself. And that was the concept we've been looking for. We've been looking to try to find a concept for this album, and had already written "Only Women Bleed" and "The Department of Youth" and a couple other songs. We had those songs written already, but we didn't have an overall concept of what this record should be. And right there in that moment, in that storm, came "Welcome to My Nightmare." And then Alice really conceived of the whole character, Stephen, and all of that, the nightmare, and then everybody got together and put their minds together to develop that show. It took us, we were in rehearsals at Paramount Studios in Los Angeles for 6 weeks
Right.
of rehearsing that show, and another 6 weeks making the record. And then we went out on tour. It was like 120 cities. And really, the whole project was like a year and a half in existence. And so that year and a half was monumental in my life because it was an international hit. We toured the world, and that's the first time I'd had a tour like that. I'd been out with Lou Reed, and we'd gone to Europe and stuff, but with Alice, we went to Australia and all over Canada and all over Europe. And we didn't go to South America or Japan, which I wish we had, but um, it was basically a world tour, and it was the biggest rock and roll tour of the time. I
Yeah.
mean, since then, rock concerts are much bigger, and they make much more money. But Alice was such an innovator. I mean, when that show came out and people went to see the Nightmare show, they never forget it. They still talk to me about it. The first time that they saw the Nightmare tour and how it
Well,
affected.
it was also one of the first tours that took a. It wasn't just four guys staring at their feet with candles playing in the back. I mean, there was a whole production that really hadn't been seen before.
That's right. So I'm saying that it was innovative in that way. It was the first really theatrical
Yeah.
rock and roll show, and since then everybody's trying to do that, but I don't think they'll ever do it any better than Nightmare. It was a fantastic tour, a fantastic show and album, and so you can see how it would be monumental for me.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
Here I was up on stage every night playing music that I'd written, and I even wrote incidental music for the passage between songs. So it was almost like a Broadway thing. And that was me, and I got to play guitar and everything else. So for me, having come from Lou Reed and having come before that from the Frost and the things that I'd done in the past, Ursa Major,
Right.
uh, this was huge for me, huge.
Were you surprised how well the band was accepted? I mean, Alice had had success with, the original Alice Cooper band, and here you were coming in as replacements. I mean, in a sense, not to be dismissive, but did you expect the fans to have a sold out world tour, or were you like, uh oh, what are they going to
Well,
say about this?
Alice had already been like the number one act in the world
Right.
with the original band, and then things started to fall off a little bit, and that's when they brought me in, and I provided a different kind of music for Alice. You can hear the difference,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
and that caught on right away, and he took him right back up to being number one, and so surprised, just not surprised as much as just joyous of playing Madison Square Garden and playing the LA Forum and all these major arenas. I mean, for me, that was a new experience. When we played Anaheim, there's 55,000 people there, and when he announced my name, I mean, the applause was uproarious, and I just felt like, oh man,
This is
isn't
great.
this great?
Yeah.
So it's very influential in my life and a very great part of my life.
Speaking of a great part of your life, you mentioned Lou Reed, and as we know, he passed away recently. Any memories of Lou or any words about Lou that you'd like to say?
I got to say that when we first started rehearsing for Lou, um, number one, the band was fantastic from the first note. Okay, uh, and I loved Lou's songs. They were simple, and I arranged the stuff for the bigger venues.
Right.
Because I thought he should be not quite so simple, and so I wrote those arrangements like heroin and those kind of things on the Rock and Roll Animal album,
Right.
and it just people loved us everywhere we went, and unfortunately the reviews were mainly about me and Steve Hunter, and they panned Lou a lot of the time because he was in a time of his life when he was doing a lot of drugs and he was having problems in personal relationships, and so he was not on his game the way he should be, and so the band kind of overshadowed him a little bit, and we got most of the reviews. They still love Lou. I'm not saying they didn't, but he didn't like the idea. He didn't like the fact that the band got so much publicity. It basically fired us and formed a new thing and did that Sally Can't Dance thing. But Rock and Roll Animal came out of 2 weeks of rehearsal and then an immediate tour of Europe,
Yeah.
and then back to the States for a few dates, ending up in Brooklyn at the Brooklyn Academy of Music, and where it was recorded live, and that was Rock and Roll Animal. So what you hear on that record is what you get, man. That's
Right.
what it sounded like all the time, and it's a classic record.
It
Man,
is.
I've been so fortunate. I've been involved in several things that are just classics as far as records go.
Yeah.
Real Animal and Destroyer and Welcome to My Nightmare. All of these different records that I've been involved in. I've been
Well, let's get into the Kiss stuff for a second because Kiss fans love minutia. They love the small nitty gritty details. So, and I think the story's been told a bunch of times before, but Bob Ezrin went in recently and he's redone Destroyer, and they re-released it as Destroyer Resurrected. I don't know if you've heard the new mix of it, but
I
they
have
brought up your guitars in everything.
right. And Gene Simmons has actually credited me. I was not credited on the album.
No,
I played those parts, but no, he has actually said Dick Wagner played most of those guitar solos. Ace was incapacitated somewhere. I don't know why he wasn't there and I was brought in. I don't know if it was because they just liked my guitar playing or whether it was because they needed me because Ace wasn't there. I don't know the reason. I never really questioned it. I just came in and played.
right.
And fortunately my playing had added a lot to it, and it helped, I guess. Um, Out of the Kiss solos, I guess they named
Sweet Pain.
"Sweet Pain" is the one. It's the number one Kiss guitar solo. That's
Right.
what I forget who rated that, Rolling Stone magazine or someplace, but that's my solo.
Right.
So I'm very proud of that.
And you're
And
also on Beth.
I'm on Beth. I played acoustic guitar on Beth. I was going to learn it and do it for you today, but I haven't played it in years, and I couldn't remember it all. And I got it. I was working on it a little bit yesterday, and I didn't quite conquer it the way I would want to play it. So, on Skype.
We can
So
we can do a performance video at some point, but let's just look at it historically. This is 1976. You just toured the world with Alice Cooper in Welcome to My Nightmare, and why did you want to go into the studio with Kiss? I mean, you had your own thing going on.
yeah, but my own thing at that time. See, I was living in New York,
Right.
and I was like a session guitar player there. I was playing a
True.
lot of sessions for a lot of people.
Right.
I was on call, and so that was Kiss was just one of them. It was only after I played this that I got to be friends with Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. They weren't actually there that night. The tracks were there. I walked in the studio and they said, here's the song. Here's where you're going to play. And so I just plug in and I play. And the rest is history. But
Yeah.
It was only after that I got to know Paul and Jude, and become friendly with them. I spent a lot of time with Paul Stanley at his house in L.A. and his apartment in New York. We wrote some songs together. We demoed them. Nothing's ever really happened with them, but we did some writing together. I love those guys. I mean, I
Let
think
me let me stop you there for a second. You did writing with Paul out in L.A. and stuff. Was this for Kiss albums, or was this just in general to have songs to submit to other artists, or a bit of both?
just in general, because I'm a
Okay.
songwriter by nature,
Okay.
so is he. So we got together and we started writing. That's
Okay.
it. We didn't know where the songs would go, and I don't think they've gone anywhere. I've never heard any of them, but we wrote.
Have they been recorded? I mean, did you do some sort of
We
working
did,
demos?
we did little demos at his house.
Okay.
Just like I make a demo here. Not really for an album.
No, but
Or
sort of like with a scratch track or whatever you want to call it.
exactly. So there are songs sitting there written by Paul Stanley and I that have never
Dating
been
back from the 70s.
from the '70s
Wow.
that no one's ever heard, and I don't have them. Paul's got them. So
That'd be
I don't
interesting.
remember how good they are, but I think they were good. Um, but we were both songwriters. I mean, so that's what we do. And so when you get together with another songwriter, you invariably end up writing a song.
Right.
And then we liked it, so we wrote more, and we spent a little bit of time together.
Now, Kiss at the time was sort of being marketed at as these four guys, and this is the band. And you come in, and Bob Ezrin brings you into the studio. Any reticence at all? Any like, what are the fans going to say? Is this going to create some ill will within? I mean, is there any kind of thought, or is it just like, listen, I'm paid to do this session. I'm going to do the session.
Yeah, for me it's that. But the band didn't credit me on the record because they wanted everyone to think it was just the band. They
Right.
didn't want the idea of some kind of session player coming in.
Right, and to be fair to Kiss, that's not just Kiss that made. I mean, a lot of bands did that when people played on Aerosmith's "Get Your Wings" or any other album.
Right, I played on that, and I played, and so did Steve Hunter, and
Yeah,
we were not credited on the
right.
Aerosmith album either because at that time, it was very important to rock and roll bands who were making it that people thought that was the band doing
Right.
it all. So
Yeah, so I just point that out because I don't want fans to think that Kiss were somehow nefarious or deceitful. I mean, it was a common practice.
it was a common practice. That's right, and it never bothered me, And later on in life, as people got to know it, and I started getting credit, and fans knew about it, that's my reward in the end. Because the amount of money I got paid for playing the sessions wasn't very much.
Right.
Um, but yet it's there. The legacy is there on record. So that's satisfying to me.
Yeah, it's got to be a proud moment. I mean, it's a it's a gigantic album. How? Pardon
Last
me.
time last time I saw Gene Simmons, he said to me, "How does it feel to know that your guitar playing is heard by millions of people every day?"
Yeah.
And it hadn't struck me that way before, but I said, that feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Because Kiss records get played all over the world, and so my guitar playing, and so does Alice. So my guitar playing is heard all the time.
All over the world. But
And
you weren't a Kiss fan at the time. I mean, or were you? What were your thoughts about them? Was it sort of like, oh, it's just a
I, was,
gimmick?
I was a fan because of their success.
Okay,
I thought initially that they stole from Alice Cooper,
which they
but
did.
but everybody did.
Sure.
I mean, all these acts that have any kind of theatrics to it have borrowed from the boldness of Alice Cooper to do this. So Alice is he's like the godfather of all of it, and um, fortunately I was able to be with him. I thought, well, they're a ripoff of Alice, but then I got to realizing that they were like marketing geniuses. I mean, what they put together and made that group so huge was amazing. It went beyond Alice Cooper. Kiss was, just the hugest act ever.
Absolutely.
And so, you got to admire that. Did I love their music? Some of it I did. Some of it I did not. But that's anybody. I feel that way about anybody. Some of it I love, some of it I don't so much.
When you're writing with Paul Stanley back in those days in L.A., are you doing sort of rock, sort of Kiss music, or was it something completely different? Was it more,
Well, it's more.
folks?
It had me involved, so it's
Okay,
not Kiss. It's not Kiss. It had Kiss a little bit of it because of Paul,
right.
but it was me. I'm writing, so I have a certain style of writing, and so it's the combination of the two of us. So you couldn't say it would be a Kiss song.
No, but it was rock songs, though. I mean, you weren't doing folk music.
Rock songs, yeah,
Okay.
right.
Tell me a little bit about working with Bob Ezrin. I mean, let's look at you've got Destroyer, you've got Welcome to My Nightmare, you've got Pink Floyd, The Wall, Peter Gabriel.
I played on Peter Gabriel's record too.
Yeah, was that no? What that wasn't Sledgehammer, was it? What was the name of that album?
It just said Peter Gabriel. It
Right,
was.
that's right.
That's where you got the picture of him in the car window with the rain.
Correct. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And how is it? How is Bob as a producer? I mean, you went back to him on this "Welcome to My Nightmare" too. You had a little contact with him as he produced that. How is he to work with?
Bob Ezrin is a great producer.
Okay,
He's had some tremendous, huge records, and
absolutely.
he's also had records that weren't that successful. I mean, like anybody else, not
True.
everything is a complete home run. But Bob Ezrin is a great producer. He's very musical. He's very smart, and he's good with concepts, and he knows how to put a concept together. Um, I learned a lot from Bob Ezrin over the years, even though he's younger than me. Um, I've been producing records for years too, but Bob is one of the great producers in the record business, and he's a great friend of mine. So
Yeah. But what makes Bob so different? What was it about Bob that launched Alice into that next stratosphere and that launched Kiss into that next stratosphere? I mean, you
he's
know,
smarter than most people. That's why he's a very smart guy, and he picks up on he gets ideas from, and he understands the acts that he's working with, and
yeah.
he knows how to utilize their talents, whatever they may be, and make a great record out of it. Sometimes if like these acts were left just to themselves, they would not make records like Bob would make with them. So that's part of the secret of being a great producer is to be able to bring the act up to 100% of their abilities and 100% of their creativity. And then you throw in your own ideas and you
And
see
he,
how.
he also gets in there and he'll play a part on the piano or he'll pick up a guitar or get behind the drums and say, "This is what I hear."
Yeah, exactly. You have to do that if you're going to be a good producer.
Well,
You got
because
to.
there's a lot of producing styles. Rick Rubin is known to let the band to their own devices, and then he'll pick the best songs, and he's not that involved. He's more laid back. And then some of the bands that even Kiss these days, Paul is producing. Is that a good decision to produce your own albums? Do you need that outside voice?
Mostly you do.
Okay,
Mostly you do, but not always. You get to a certain level as a musician,
right.
and you get to know each instrument should sound like, what it should play.
Okay,
I mean, and a good producer's got to be able to do that. If you're going to tell the drummer what to play, it better be right, because drummers will rebel and they'll go, "Nah, I'm going to play it this way." So if you're right, they're going to say, "Oh man, that's cool. You're right." So you got to be right all the time, as much of the time as possible, and that takes great musical knowledge and a great instinct and great ears to be able to hear it and know what it should be.
now, other than the two songs on Destroyer that we know about, Beth and Sweet Pain, was there anything else that you've done on that album that you can remember?
I thought all these years that I had played on 4 tracks, and
Okay.
I think I did. I'm not sure. It's a distant memory for me, but I know Beth and I know Sweet Pain for sure because they just really stood out for me.
Per,
But
per,
I think there were a couple of others, and when Gene said that I played all the Aces solos, I kind of thought that was a little bit of a vindication that maybe I did play on more
right.
songs. But it's never really mattered that much to me. Sweet Pain and Beth are enough.
Yeah.
You know,
Plus, when you hear the songs, though, you can hear your guitar sound.
I can pretty much, you know. So there's a couple of familiar sounding guitar solos on a couple of other songs, but I can't swear that I played them. You know, so
Right.
I go.
Plus, back in the day, they might have had you record the solo and may or may not have used it. I mean, they might have had you
That's
do one and Ace do one, and
that's very true.
yeah.
That's right.
So let's, but just before we wrap up, because we've been at this for 45 minutes, the last Kiss song that you were involved was on Revenge in 1992.
Yeah, it was one of Paul Stanley's ballads.
Uh,
Uh, I don't remember the name of the song.
every time I look at you,
That's it. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. I
so
was in. We were at a studio in L.A.
Ella,
Tracks, I think, and I was in Studio B, and they were over in Studio A. And Paul came over. I was recording some of my own songs,
right.
and he came over and he said, "Hey, can you come over and play guitar on something?" So I took a break from my sessions and went over and played, and then went back to my sessions. It was very simple. Just, I guess at that time Bruce Kulick was playing with them,
Right.
and he wasn't there that day, so they needed me to play, and I did. And it was a beautiful song, and I think I played a pretty good solo on it
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. Sounds great. And it must have been fun to be back in the studio with Gene Paul and Bob Ezrin.
Oh yeah, it was. Of course, it's like all home week. You know, see these guys, you haven't seen them in a while, and all of a sudden you're playing on their record again. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it.
I would like to see, and I'm assuming it'll never happen, but I'd like to see maybe somewhere down the road where Kiss does a show where they play these songs and they invite you on stage to actually play the solos. As a fan, I think that would be quite trippy to see you come out and solo
Sure.
on Sweet Pain.
I would love to do that. I was in was it Toronto? No, it was in Canada at in geez, I forget what city now. But there was a Kiss tribute band,
Right.
and they invited me to come and play the show with them. So I went in and did what you just said. I played the parts on stage with them. Plus, they learned a couple of Alice Cooper songs, and I played those. And so we just had a really good time. You know.
Yeah, because
Uh,
every year now Kiss does this Kiss cruise, and they do these acoustic sets, and they do these different songs that they don't normally play in the arena shows. And I think that just would be a trip to have you come out and throw
I would
down.
I would love that.
Yeah, and you get a free cruise out of it. That'd be great.
And if Gene and Paul see this, I think they better invite me pretty soon.
It'd be a nice little vacation. Uh,
Sure.
one last thing, and you're gonna have to help me out. Probably like 8, 9 years ago, you released a CD where you did "Might As Well Be From Mars," "Welcome to My Nightmare." You did the sort of songwriters versions of a lot of the Alice Cooper songs. What was that CD called again? And can fans still get it?
It was called Rock History.
Yes.
Um, yeah, well, they're going to be. I just had it remastered so that it sounds better.
Oh, I got to get that then. Is that? Can I buy that on the website?
Not yet. It's almost going to. It's going to be
Okay.
released soon. But I've got a remastered version of it. It sounds terrific, and I think it's a great album. I think that I did it all myself. I programmed everything. I played all the parts. I sang all the vocals. But it turned out really, really nice. It's
Oh, I
more of
agree.
an acoustic sounding album.
Yeah.
It's not all acoustic, but it's more of that kind of sound. And it's my interpretations at that time of the songs that I wrote with Alice, primarily Alice.
Right.
And it's really good. If you like the songs, you're going to like this album.
I agree, and that's why I'm mentioning it because I don't think fans really know about it, and I think they should. If I remember, so you did "Might As Well Be From Mars." You do "Only Women Bleed,"
Right.
and the "Welcome to My Nightmare." If I recall correctly, there was a sort of a brass section to it. There was a band behind. There was a wasn't there like a whole trumpet version of it or something?
Yeah, but it's all synthesized.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
We're not real players. I did it all on a synthesizer. So
Okay.
I actually played every part on that album. But yeah, it's going to be released. I can't say exactly when. The mastering is done. It's ready to go.
Okay.
But putting things out is not. You have to be able to actually manufacture all the CDs. You got to put money into it. And right now, I would have to like get the fans wanting it by talking about it, which I have not really talked about it until now. Um,
Well,
and
this summer when I put out this Kiss tribute CD, I used a place called pledgemusic.com where fans pledge ahead
oh,
to I mean that might actually be a viable way to do it. It was a very interesting
that,
process.
yeah, that's interesting.
You know,
Pledge music call.
yeah, pledgemusic.com and so what you do is you put up the album you want to make, the concept and what it's going to be, and they give you a 60 to 90 day window for fans to pledge $10, $15, $25, and when you get to your stated goal, Pledge Music gives you the money and you can make the album. So when I did the Kiss tribute, um, fans pledged 241% of my goal, so I was able to make this
Wow, that's
Kiss
great.
40th, and of course that money all went to a palliative care charity. But it's a great little device. I mean, it's crowdsourcing
That,
or
that,
crowdfunding.
so that's similar to Kickstarter, same kind of thing, or
It's exactly similar to Kickstarter, but Pledge Music is really about getting albums to make stuff. So the Beach Boys are on there right now. ABBA is on there right now. Slash of Guns N' Roses has an album up there. The Kiss tributes up there. A lot of bands are using it, and they've been
I might
very
check
successful.
because I'm trying to raise money right now for an act from Denmark
Oh,
named
good.
Marianne Cotton.
Oh, good.
This He's a 22-year-old artist. I've written the entire album for him. We've got the demos all made. Now I want to make the album. Maybe pledge.com is a place for me to raise the money for that.
Pledge
He's
Music.
he's Pledge Music. He's becoming a star in Europe, and so the timing is just about right.
Yeah,
Um, but he's going to be a big star. His name is Marianne Cotton,
I hope
and
so.
yeah.
I'm Danish, so I wish success to all Danes.
Oh, good, good, good. Yeah, no, he calls himself, it's Shock Rock 2013. He's like a big fan and influenced by Alice Cooper and me, and so he actually contacted me on Facebook and wanted me to play guitar on his next album, which was not even written yet. So I said yes, but I think I should produce you, and I have a concept for you. And so I had this concept and all these songs written, and I wrote some more, and now he's got it. He's got an album. I just have to be able to make it, but I got to raise the funds for that because that's going to take a little money. So, pledgemusic.com. I'm going there. I'm going to
Yeah,
look.
go check it out. And I dealt with some people there. Maybe I can send you their email and you can talk about it. But
Oh, do
listen,
that.
if it's good enough for the Beach Boys and it's good enough for ABBA and it's good enough for Slash and so on,
Oh yeah.
you
Why
know.
not? Why not?
So there you
Absolutely.
go.
So, Mitch, send that information to me, please.
Absolutely. So quickly, the single is for St. Jude's and it's called. I keep forgetting what it's called. Um,
If I had the time, I
if
could change the world.
Right. So people should go out to iTunes and all. CD Baby has it everywhere, right? They have it on Amazon and the whole thing.
They're the aggregator. They get it to iTunes and Amazon and all these places.
Yeah.
But right now it's available for download today on CD Baby.
Good.
So um, I just suggest, if I had the time, I could change the world. It's a great, beautiful song. The money goes to a great cause, St. Jude's Research Hospital for Children's Diseases.
Yep.
And I know you're going to love it when you hear it.
Oh, I've heard it. It sounds great.
Thank you.
It
Thank you.
really. But I mean, listen. I'm. You're preaching to the converted. I've loved everything you've done. I mean, I'm a big fan of Welcome to My Nightmare. I'm a big fan of Destroyer. I'm a big fan of that album that we just talked about, where you did the songwriter versions of the Cooper songs. You know.
Thank you, Mitch.
So
You're a
so
good man. You're a good man.
thank you. And of course, let's not forget Not Only Women Bleed, the book, in its third
Oh,
or fourth printing.
this, this right here.
Yeah, that's a good book. That's a good looking fella on the cover right there.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, great. It's always a pleasure. I'm just
Good.
going to turn off the Skype recording here. 1 second.